when we start with the second cycle, we start with 2. 2 can be also associated with 0 degree, 2 can be associated with 21st of March, 2 can be associated with the morning time, and 2 can also be associated with the east. Same is applicable for 11, 28, 53, 86, 127. So when you talk about degrees, this can be going over here as 0 degree. So all these numbers would be coming together on 0 degree, and this can be associated with time in terms of 21st March. This is where we can start. What is the next date after that? So if you look at date 3, which is there, so 3 as a number can be associated with 45 degrees. 3 as a number can be associated with 45 degree. It comes on the 45 degree, which is there. This is northeast part. This is 9 a.m. This is 9th of May. Same way, if we look for 4, 4 is associated with 90 degree. It comes on 21st of June. On date, it is on north. It is on north. So same way, if we look at number 5, it goes on 45 degree, which is there. You can look at the degrees which are there. So this comes on 135 degrees. This comes on 135 degree over here. 6 comes on 180 degree. So 2 and 6 would be on opposite degrees, and they are at 180 degree opposite to each other. Same is there for 11 and 19. So if you talk about 11 and 19, which is there in the third cycle, understand 1 is the first cycle, 2 to 9 is the second cycle, 10 onwards is the third cycle, but 11 comes on 0 degree. 11 comes on 0 degree. So we start from this number and then we go as a spiral coming back to 25. Coming back to 25. So if we look probably at numbers in this way, we have an association of dates, numbers, and degrees. Dates, numbers, and degrees. Hello everyone. On 2nd of July, which is almost completion of a half year, that is 183 days, we have dropped a message on the Telegram channel which says WD Gann on law of vibration, page 5. Gann told this interviewer that he had discovered the law of vibration through the way in which numbers and letters were written, not through astrology or the planets. And then we further write, does it mean that angles in the numbers or the way in which numbers are written in? Let's say, for example, square of 9, wheel of 24, Gann wheel of 144, or permanent master chart of 12, etc. Yes, of course, with this, we also talk about the course, which is there. So, of course, if you want to know more about the course, do contact on our Telegram handle as well as our WhatsApp so that we can discuss more about this course also. So, this is what Gann said. First of all, he said he had discovered the law of vibration through the way in which numbers and letters were written, not through astrology or the planets. Now, let's try to maybe break down this sentence and interpret it. So, what does he talk about? He first of all talks about numbers and letters, both of them. Maybe probably we'll try to study about the numbers as well as the letters so that we can get some basic information on the basis of that. And the second thing he says is the way they were written. The way they were written, not now, because there is a huge difference between what written now and what was been written when they actually were been discovered or were been written. So we'll see about both the things, the numbers and letters and how they were written. So we'll have maybe probably differentiating in 3 parts. One is for the beginners and then the intermediate and then for the advanced level. So this is how we have the numbers. We started from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then probably 0. So these are the numbers that we have. And this is generally how we write the number. But most of us generally don't know how the numbers have been written and why. What is the logic behind writing the numbers? So let's get back to that part also so that it will be making things easier for us. Now, if we look at the way in which numbers have been written, Generally, they are associated with angles. Let's say, for example, we have numbers from 1 to 9 and then 0 also. In 1, we have got one angle over here. So 1 has been associated with one angle, or one angle means one number. Same way, if we go for 2, we have got one angle over here and the second angle over here. So we got 1 and 2, two angle, and that's why 2 is been written in such a way. 3, we have got 1, 2, and 3 angles, and that's why 3 is associated, or maybe there are 3 angles, that's why 3 has been written. Same way for 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 angles are there, and that's why it has been written in that way. Same is there for 5. You have got 5 angles. 6, you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angles. 7 again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 angles. For 8 again 3 plus 3 6 and 2 8 angles. 9 has got 9 angles. There is no angle in 0, and that's why we have got 0 as a circle. So this is the basic logic of understanding of numbers, why they have been written in such a way. Let's go to the second part, that is writing of the alphabet. So we know in English there are 26 alphabets: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. There is no association with color as such, but yes, this is just been written in the way that we have got. So again, is there a history of how those alphabets been written? Let's get back to that part also. If you look at the evolution of English alphabets, this is how numbers were been written initially. And then from there, slowly and gradually, we got our 26 alphabets. Now, if you look at alphabet, it is alphabet, and you can say that alpha, beta. So you have alpha, beta, gamma, theta, and all these things which have been associated with ancient Greeks. And from there, what is we got as the modern day English alphabets. So alphabet is nothing but alpha, beta, and that's why we talk about alphabets in such a way. Prior to that, this is how they've been written, more of to do with the animals or maybe the symbols that were been associated with that, and slowly and gradually it's not. So probably you can go to this charts or maybe talk about this person who has actually made this chart. This is just for reference. So now we have a basic understanding, the beginner's understanding of alphabet. Maybe for some of them this may not be known, this can be intermediate for them, but this is what we consider as a beginner's information, especially if you're talking about Gann and if you want to know about alphabets as well as letters. Now let's again try to deep dive into numbers and how they have been associated with alphabets, because alphabets and numbers, he talks about both the things. Now let's say I talk about alphabets which are there A to Z. They can be associated together in numerology, and that too specifically in Pythagorean numerology, in such a way where every alphabet is been given a numerical value. Let's say, for example, A has got 1, B has got 2, C has got 3, D has got 4, E has got 5, F has got 6, G has got 7, H has got 8, I has got 9. And same way, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R has got values from 1 to 9. S to Z has again got values from 1 to 8. So this is how whenever anything is being given in tunnel through the air, this is one of the ways of interpretation of the words which are being given in tunnel through the air. This is one of the ways. Of course, you'll be finding this interpretation also in Kabbalah of numbers, which is book 2, page number 100. Let me go through that. So this book has been written by Sifariel, and if you look on this book, this is book number 2, page number 100. The Kabbalah of numbers, we have A, B, C, D, which have been given alpha numerical values. Only one small difference which is there over here is J has got no value. So maybe a different point. Maybe we can discuss that later on, but this is how it is, just for the sake of interpretation. Let's get back to what we were on. So if we look basically on alphabets and then also about numbers, Alphabets and numbers both can be connected because Gann talked about both the things. He talked about numbers as well as alphabets and how they are been written. So we only talk about numbers and we also talk about alphabets. Both of them can be associated with each other. But wait about one thing. We are talking about trading. And what has trading to do with all these things together? If we probably try to look at one more way of looking at all these things, we have to again look at what numbers and letters are there and again how they have been written. So if we think maybe probably on this part more of a slightly harder way, try to interpret what they are, we need to look at one more thing, that is dates. Let's look at the dates. So if I look at the dates, we have got some seasonal dates which have been given by WD Gann, and these are again associated with certain angles which are there. 1 is to 8, 1 is to 4, 1 is to 3, 3 is to 8, 1 is to 2, 5 is to 8, 2 is to 3, 3 is to 4, 7 is to 8, and 1. Again, this is division of an entire year into, let's say, half, 1/4. So half is 180 degree, 1/4 is 90 degree, and maybe 1 by 8 is associated with 45 degrees. So every 45 degree if you have, you will get a date. Again, alphabets were related to angles, and again our dates are there which are related to angles. Why we are talking about dates? But dates are nothing but numbers. Dates are nothing but numbers written in a different way in terms of time. So we have numbers which are in terms of time, and we have angles which are associated with time. So we have got one more connection, that is dates, that is time, which is associated with angles. Dates which have been associated with angles. Now let's go to the basic part that we have. So we have this basic thing that we know about equinox solstice, and second thing is we have got about seasons. What we know is every 90 degrees there is a change in season: winter, spring, summer, autumn, and this have got a beginning date. Let's say for example we start from March 21st, and this can be considered as 0 degree. From this 0 degree we go towards 90 degree, which is 21st of June. This is also 91 days approximately, because we have got a year which is of 365 days and not exactly of 360. 360 is a circle, but the days actually are 365. So if we have the next five numbers which can be just distributed, we can have 1 or 1.25. So if we consider 90-91 days, from March 21st to June 21st, we have got 90-91 days. Same way from June 21st to September 23rd, we again got 90-91 days, which is again an entire summer season and also 90 degrees of movement. Same way from September 23rd to December 22nd, we have got an entire season which is autumn. From autumnal equinox to winter solstice, 90-91 days. Movement is again in terms of 90 degrees. So this is how we would be basically associating numbers, first of all with dates, and dates again with angles. Now why do we have to associate dates with angles? Why do we have to associate dates with angles is an important question for us to ask. And why that is important? Because Gann did so. Because Gann did so. If we look at this one which is there, so this is nothing but square of 9. This is nothing but square of 9. Now let's look at the book. This comes on page number 343 of the WD Gann Master Commodity Course. Let's look at it. Probably I'll just try to zoom it across. So this is nothing but square of 9. So we have the first cycle which is number 1, that is in first block. So 1 in itself is a cycle. We don't start from 0, we start with number 1. So 1 in itself is the first block, and that is a cycle in itself. Where do you start with the second cycle? We start from 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That completes our second block, which is there, or the second cycle, or you can talk about the second spiral. This is not a circle, but this is a spiral. Why? Because it keeps on increasing. It's not more like a circle. You can talk about it as a circle also, because yes, this is like a circle, but again, it keeps on spiraling and moving and expanding. So this becomes my second spiral, or you can talk about it as a circle, not a square, but a circle. So what you do is, when you have this circle, you can have this circle on the basis of degrees. How are the degrees? Let's look at that. If I look on the left hand side corner, we have March 21st. This has also been marked as east. This is marked as 6 a.m. and this has been marked as 0 degree. So if we look at from different perspective, first of all, east is nothing but the direction. We have got four direction: east, west, north, south. So all are there at 90 degree from each other. That is the first thing. We are talking about zero as degrees. So degrees, again, we have got 0 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree, and coming back to 360, or completion of a circle, again starting from 0 degree. That is the second part. Third part is March 21st. So again, we have got this equinox solstice dates, where we start with March 21st, and this can be considered as 0 degree, because in last few videos we also talked about this also being a starting date, because our calendar of 21st of March was been initially considered from that date, which is specifically as equinox date. So this was also been considered the first day of the year. January 1st came later on. January 1st came later on, because it's not got a long history, but before that, this was an important date. So you can refer to our videos which are relating to equinox and solstice. There the information is being shared. So we have got east, west, north, south. We have got 0 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree, 360 degree completion of that. We have got March 21st, all the four dates that we have just seen. Same way, the entire day, we start from 6 a.m., we go to 12 noon, then again to 6 p.m., 12 midnight, and coming back to 6 a.m. So this is again one circle which is there, and all these three, four different things. First is direction, second is degrees, say third is the year, and fourth is the day. All these four things can be clubbed together as a circle. So everything is on the basis of that. So if you look at this part, this goes from there. We have this at 45 degree, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And we have got 9th of May. And over here is the north degree. We got June 21st, 90 degree over here, 12 noon and north. All the four things have been described over here. Same way, if you go on this part, we got September 21st, 180 degrees, 6 p.m. and we have got west over here. So all the four things are also been described same way. Now let's look at the numbers. So we have got this number. As I told you, 1 in itself is the first cycle. Then we start with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. This becomes my second circle or my second cycle. So when you talk about this second cycle, yes, these numbers can be first of all associated with the dates. Let's say, for example, number 2, we can have it associated with 0 degree. We can have it associated with March 21st. We can have it associated with 6 a.m. and we can have this associated with east. So one is also been associated together with all the 4 degrees which are there. But when we start with the second cycle, we start with 2. 2 can be also associated with 0 degree. 2 can be associated with 21st of March. 2 can be associated with the morning time, and 2 can also be associated with the east. Same is applicable for 11, 28, 53, 86, 127. So when you talk about degrees, this can be going over here as 0 degree. So all these numbers would be coming together on 0 degree, and this can be associated with time in terms of 21st March. This is where we can start. What is the next date after that? So if you look at date 3, which is there, so 3 as a number can be associated with 45 degrees. 3 as a number can be associated with 45 degree. It comes on the 45 degree, which is there. This is northeast part. This is 9 a.m. This is 9th of May. Same way, if we look for 4, 4 is associated with 90 degree. It comes on 21st of June on date. It is on north. It is on north. So same way, if we look at number 5, it goes on 45 degree, which is there. You can look at the degrees which are there. So this comes on 135 degrees. This comes on 135 degree over here. 6 comes on 180 degree. So 2 and 6 would be on opposite degrees, and they are at 180 degree opposite to each other. Same is there for 11 and 19. So if you talk about 11 and 19, which is there in the third cycle, understand 1 is the first cycle, 2 to 9 is the second cycle, 10 onwards is the third cycle, but 11 comes on 0 degree. 11 comes on 0 degree. So we start from this number and then we go as a spiral coming back to 25. Coming back to 25. So if we look probably at numbers in this way, we have an association of dates, numbers, and degrees. Dates, numbers, and degrees. And this is what probably WD Gann was talking about. He said he had discovered the law of vibration through the way in which numbers and letters were written, not through astrology or the planets. So he also always wanted to talk about numbers as well as alphabets, but he talked about them in different ways. So once you understand numbers, you can understand alphabets also. You can understand the dates which have been associated with that. And then once you know that numbers have been associated with degrees, you can have the dates which are been associated with degrees. And this is where we would be having a strong association between the numbers, the dates, and the degrees. So always understand one very important thing is dates are always associated with degrees. And this is what we need to know wherever we start from. Let's say 1 is my starting point. So we need to consider on the basis of that in terms of degrees and in terms of dates. So what we'll do is we will probably try to continue this further and try to understand in a better way for that. Yes, of course, with this, we also talk about the course which is there. So, of course, if you want to know more about the course, do contact on our Telegram handle as well as our WhatsApp so that we can discuss more about this course also. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.